The South African Football Association, which is responsible for overseeing soccer in South Africa, manages the men's national soccer team that competes on the world stage as South Africa's representative. The team is known as Bafana Bafana. The boys and FNB Stadium, which is situated in Johannesburg, serves as the nation's home field. The team's best performance was its home victory in the 1996 Africa Cup of Nations. The group is a part of both Confederation of African Football and FIFA, CAF. After 16 years of being barred from FIFA and 40 years of effective suspension due to the apartheid system, and having played their first match in 1906, they made their return to the international stage in 1992. When South Africa was chosen to host the 2010 World Cup, it made history as the first African country to do so. Siphiwe Tshabalala of the team scored the opening goal of the World Cup against Mexico, becoming the first player to do so. Pre-1992. In the late 19th century, colonialism brought soccer to South Africa for the first time since it was a favorite among British soldiers. The country's system of racial segregation had an impact on organized soccer from the beginning of the sport in South Africa until the end of apartheid. The South African Indian Football Association, SAIFA, the South African Bantu Football Association, SABFA, and the South African Colored Football Association, SACFA, were founded in 1903, 1933, and 1936, respectively, while the All-White Football Association of South Africa, FAFSA, was established in 1892. Following the Second Boer War between the British Empire and the Boer State in 1903, the SAFA re-affiliated with the English Football Association. A tournament involving South Africa and Fulham as guest sides was supposed to be staged in Argentina. However, it didn't happen. However, in 1906, South Africa went to South America to play a few of friendly games there. 1992 to 1994, Red Mission. The South African national team played its first match on July 7, 1992, defeating Cameroon 1-0 at Kings Park in Durban, after nearly 2 decades of international exile. The team participated in the 1994 Africa Cup of Nations qualifications and was assigned to Group 5, which also included Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Mauritius. They drew at home with Zimbabwe and Mauritius, while winning 1 match on the road against Mauritius. The group's third-place finish prevented the squad from qualifying. South Africa was assigned to Group D for the 1994 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, along with Congo, Libya, and Nigeria. Libya left the qualifying rounds. Both at home and abroad, South Africa defeated Congo. They lost on the road, but drew at home against Nigeria. 1996 to 1998. Rise. South Africa hosted and won the 1996 Africa Cup of Nations in 1996, just 5 years after being readmitted, and as a result, rose to the great heights of 16th in the FIFA rankings. They followed their 1996 triumph with a second-place result at the 1998 Africa Cup of Nations behind Egypt under Jomo Sono, which did little to slow the momentum despite the shocking dismissal of Cup of Nations winning coach Clive Barker. The team qualified for France '98 and made its first FIFA World Cup debut. South Africa's first World Cup match ended in a humiliating 3-0 loss to hosts France under head coach Philippe Troussier, although they competed admirably against Asian powerhouses Saudi Arabia and Denmark in their other group matches. 2000 to 2002, peak in coaching instability. After winning the Africa Cup of Nations in 1996 and 1998, as well as making their World Cup debut in 1998, South Africa was viewed as a rising force on the continent. They would start the decade off brightly under the newly hired Trot Maloto's tutelage, placing third in the 2000 edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. However, as was becoming increasingly indicative of South African soccer at the national level, yet another coaching change was made. Carlos Queiroz, a Portuguese, was chosen to represent South Africa at the 2002 FIFA World Cup. In the quarterfinals against the hosts Mali, South Africa, which had qualified for the 2002 Africa Cup of Nations, was defeated.